Single dad waiter danced with CEO's scarred daughter. The song left her father in tears. The restaurant was nearly empty that Thursday evening, except for a few late diners and the soft clinking of cutlery. Jake, a single father juggling 2 jobs, wiped down the polished tables with a practiced hand, his mind half on his 10-year-old daughter waiting at home. He had been a waiter long enough to know the unspoken rule: serve, smile, survive. But then she walked in. Clara, the daughter of one of the city's most powerful CEOs, had a presence that could fill a room without a word. Yet tonight, her eyes betrayed a quiet wariness, shadowed by the scars tracing the delicate lines of her face. Most people saw only the imperfections, the physical reminders of a past accident, but not Jake. He saw courage, vulnerability, and something deeply human yearning for a connection. Her father, seated at a corner table, didn't notice her hesitance. He was preoccupied with business calls, numbers, and deals that seemed more important than the little girl beside him. Clara fiddled with the menu but barely touched it. Jake approached, tray in hand. "Hi, welcome. Can I get you something to drink?" His voice was soft but confident. Clara hesitated, then managed a small nod. "Just water, please." As Jake poured the glass, a faint smile broke through her tense demeanor. "You have to dance?" she suddenly asked, her voice curious. Jake blinked. "Dance?" She nodded toward the small, unassuming stage where a live band was setting up for the evening's jazz set. "I love dancing, but I can't. People stare." Jake felt a pang of empathy. He had a daughter at home who often felt too shy to raise her hand in school talent shows. He understood that fear, the ache of wanting to belong but feeling trapped by the judgmental eyes of the world. When the band started playing a soft, slow tune, Jake saw something change in Clara. Hesitant at first, she tapped her feet in rhythm. Without overthinking it, Jake offered his hand. "May I?" Her eyes widened. No one had ever asked before. She nodded. They moved together awkwardly at first, then with a tentative grace. Her scars glimmered under the soft lights, but they didn't define her. They shimmered like marks of survival. Jake followed her lead, careful, encouraging, letting her feel in control. Across the room, Clara's father looked up from his phone, startled. He had never seen her so alive. He noticed how the other diners had stopped talking, watching this ordinary waiter and his daughter-to-be gliding across the floor. And then he noticed something deeper, the genuine joy in her eyes. The song reached its crescendo. Clara twirled, and for a moment all the fear, all the self-consciousness melted away. Jake held her steady, their laughter mingling with the music. The room seemed to shrink until it was just the two of them, spinning in a bubble of courage and connection. Clara's father rose slowly from his chair, tears brimming. He realized then that he had spent so long shielding her from the world, that he had almost forgotten to let her live in it. Watching a man, a stranger even, give her the freedom to dance without judgment was a revelation, a lesson in humility, love, and the unspoken power of kindness. When the song ended, Jake bowed slightly, and Clara curtsied in return, both laughing. She hugged him quickly, whispering, "Thank you." Her father approached, tears streaking his expensive suit. I've been so blind," he said, voice breaking. "Thank you for seeing her when I couldn't." Jake just nodded. She didn't need me to see her as perfect. She just needed someone to dance with her. From that night on, Clara's father made a quiet but profound change. He spent more time with his daughter, listening more than talking, and supporting her in ways he hadn't known how before. And for Jake, it was another ordinary night turned extraordinary, a reminder that sometimes the simplest acts of humanity can heal the deepest wounds. Because kindness, empathy, and courage don't come from wealth or status. They come from the heart, and they can change lives in a single dance. After that night, the small, ordinary restaurant felt different to Jake. Every table he cleaned, every tray he carried, held the memory of Clara's laughter and the warmth of her trust. He still went home to his daughter, Emma, who noticed the difference immediately. "Did something happen at work?" she asked, looking up from her homework. Jake smiled, ruffling her hair. "Something small, but special." Meanwhile, Clara couldn't stop talking about the dance, For the first time in years, she didn't hide from mirrors or photographs. She started experimenting with drawing, painting, and even signing up for a small dance class at school. Jake had unknowingly given her a spark, proof that her scars were not limitations, but reminders of her resilience. Her father, David, the CEO, began making quiet changes too. He stopped missing dinners and important milestones. One evening, he invited Jake and Emma to their home for dinner, a gesture of gratitude and friendship. The two men, so different in the world's eyes, found common ground in love for their daughters. That dinner became the start of something beautiful. Clara and Emma formed a close bond, sharing giggles, secrets, and dance lessons in the living room. Jake and David shared late-night conversations, sometimes about business, but often about life, parenting, and the unexpected ways people can touch each other's hearts. One weekend, the city held a charity gala. Clara's school had organized a fundraiser for children with disabilities, and she insisted on performing a dance, this time without fear. Jake, standing at the edge of the stage with Emma on his hip, watched as Clara danced with confidence and joy, her scars glowing under the spotlight as symbols of strength. David stood beside him, tears glistening. "She's incredible," he whispered, voice thick with emotion. "And she's learning to believe it thanks to you." Jake shook his head, laughing softly. "I didn't do anything. She did this herself. I just reminded her to step forward." The audience erupted in applause as Clara finished her performance. She bowed and her eyes scanned the room until they found Jake and Emma. A radiant smile spread across her face. Pure, unself-conscious, unashamed. That night, as Jake walked home with Emma holding his hand, he felt a quiet pride swell in his chest. A single dance had changed more than one life. It had reminded everyone involved that compassion, encouragement, and the courage to step into someone else's world could create ripples far beyond a single moment. And sometimes, just sometimes, a stranger can become the most important person in your life. Not by changing who you are, but by helping you see the brilliance that's always been inside you. The song from that night played in Jake's mind, a melody of hope and humanity. He hummed it softly to Emma, who immediately joined in. Together they walked home, hearts light, knowing that small acts of kindness could leave the deepest, most unforgettable marks.